Right. Thanks for joining if you can. I hope everyone can hear me and see my screen here. So, apologies for the time. I previously mentioned to do it at 3 o'clock, but couldn't make it. So I'm gonna do it right now instead of 4 because that I have something else to go on for something else. I had a request from the chat here to talk about psychology when it comes to trading. A few things here that I usually observe. If I want to focus on these two things. One is more or less to maximize the win, and secondly to minimize the loss. So let's talk about the losses first. I figure it's easier to talk about this because it's pretty straightforward when we talk about being patient to wait for a setup to come through. What does it mean by that? A lot of traders can actually tell you to be patient, wait for the setup to come in. But in specific, what do they need to talk about it? So when we start to look at those losses that we have made in the past, when we do a journal or whatever you want to do it, you will realize that one is the low probably less confident setup. So in a way, you must have your own strategy to conclude that which kind of setup is actually an A plus setup, which type of setup is not an A plus setup, or maybe like a B plus or C setup that you would take in the past. So from there, you need to jot down what kind of notes that you actually take the trade in terms of mentally, in terms of the technical standpoint. Why do you take that kind of setup? More or less from my point of view, when I go back to my journal, I can see that some of the setups that I take is actually low probability. So low probability, just the same kind of meaning that less confidence setups. Um, I will show you later on what kind of setup is actually considered as the A setup for myself. And whenever we have stop loss, we have to respect the stop loss set. That means that if you were to specify an amount risk, a specific risk amount for that particular trade, you respect that. So let's say if you were to set like $1,000 for that trade, if you lose the trade, you lose $1,000. But if you have like a 3R setup, you win 3,000 eventually. So you have to stick to that rule. You don't go by changing your stop loss because it goes down too fast and you want to change your stop loss to lower so that increase your risk incurred for that trade. So you don't do that because you can always come again another day, another week, or another month. So that loss doesn't mean anything to you by right. So that's two main factors that I would see when we come to losses. Next one here I'll talk about is maximize the wins. So this is very mentally disturbing when I were to trade. So especially when I know that I was confident with the trade, but I didn't mean to actually add in position to that. So one thing you have to, if it's when it has confirmation for that setup, add in new position or risk a little more. So it depends on yourself. So based on these two things here, one point number one and number two, more often that when I observe a trader not being profitable, I don't want to go dive into like losing money, just being flat. or break even after all, after like 3 months, 6 months. Why? So the reason when I find when they win, they win $1,000. When they lose $1,002. So eventually, when you come down to the calculation, you don't win any money. You're not profitable in a way. So when it comes to all this, I would want to focus on risk to reward, which is RR. So and I usually wouldn't take anything less than 2R or 3R and cut loss when we need it and go in bigger when it's confirmed. So these three things are the most important to me when it comes to risk management. A lot of people can tell you about risk management, but these are the things that you actually need to focus on. So let's dive into some A setups that I mentioned about it. So there was, if I'm not wrong, it should be this one. Yeah, let's talk about this Euros Swiss franc. I think we were at this point, if I'm not wrong. So when it comes to this kind of setup here, we have daily fair value gap. We don't see anything on the weekly. That means there's no reason for the price to come back up here again. It can still come back to this breakaway gap, but we can see what's the reaction from when it comes into this buy side liquidity. So if price were to take out come up strong, you might see price to continue upward. But if price just make a manipulation of the buy side and break down again, we can take a shot. So what happens next here? Let's see. So we take one candle, the next candle here. So as you can see, this candle here manipulates the high because it did not close above it, and it formed a red candle. For my chart, it's black. So if you go down to 4 hours chart, you don't see anything here. But if you go down one more level, which is the 1 hour, you can actually see like there is a 1 hour fair value gap created. So by all means, you can actually do this. So just put your entry at the 1 hour fair value gap. Let's see. Okay, so from here, you're not too sure if you have entered. This is one of the examples that I want to talk about. When it's confirmed in terms of lower time frame, you have to go for it. Sometimes it's just that way. You have to go for the wins and cut down the losses. So if you focus on this lower time frame here, price making higher high, higher low, right? Higher low, higher high. This is still higher low to me. But when it comes to here, price make a lower high instead and lower low. So what does that mean? So if I would choose, I would have gone with this, at a size here. Sorry. For the first position, move stop loss to this point, this high. Add in second position here. So eventually you actually back like 3.4R for the first position and 5.16R for the second position, which is like 8.5R in total. So 8.5R for a single trade is very good enough. You don't have to chase for like 20R, 50R. Those kind of things, I would say that it doesn't really exist every single week. It really depends on what kind of time frame that you enter. in a good way, you can enter that kind of setup, but it doesn't happen always. So take what you have on the screen. So this is one of the example that I actually saw. I think we did take one of this trade. I can't remember exactly when, but yeah, I think we took this. Another one that we had was this Euro Aussie dollar. Um, I think we missed this out, but it was in the idea that I posted. Why did I take this? So let's see. Okay, we don't have to go for monthly. We just need to go for weekly. So weekly chart, it did not take up the high. No new fair value get created. That means it's not a strong close. Price might seek the opposing liquidity, which is a sell side. If you go down to daily, there is one breakaway gap here. There's another fair value gap on the daily chart over here. Same thing. If I were to here, so same thing. This candle did not close red. This is not like the exact A setup that would take thing. I would need a candle to manipulate the buy side and then close red instead. So wait for one more. Okay, so this one closed in terms of red. It did manipulate the high. And let's go down to 4 hours chart or maybe 1 hour, whichever one I think about. So let me take away this. So by all means, I think if you were to enter, we can do this 1 hour chart, this 1 hour fair value gap. I will talk about where to take profit later. Just hold me a second here. Okay. Um, watch how price actually manipulate the high, the buy side, and then still we can see that there's a green candle here, but if price wants to continue higher, it should have gone higher from here. It should have gone higher from here, creating a new fair value gap, continue higher. But instead, manipulate the high, break down, and break down further, so price would actually go down. And let's see, did it? Maybe one more manipulation, or in fact, it took out some sell side. That's why it moved a little bit. So price wipe out one more time, and let's see. Okay, so price did not continue higher. It did create a 1 hour fair value gap here, but it did not continue from this fair value gap. Instead, it broke down. So I think if we were to go down to 4 hours, you can see that there is some fair value created over here. And if you look at it, all this is actually manipulation of high, still protected high here. And if you would want to actually move, add in another position, you can add in any kind of POI here, even though it's like a lower R, but I think it's still worth it because it's kind of confirmed in a way. So let's see. Okay, let's still eventually tag your TP. This is a little bit harsh because it just came back so many times, take out all the buy side. You would have moved your stop loss to this kind of high here, but eventually you might be taken out. But it's okay because you take profit at the TP1, came back up, stop you out, and then you get a confirmation later this week here, and then you enter again, and eventually you get to another 2R. So that's fine. Um, it's okay to miss some, stop out some, but eventually you get the whole idea of it. So these are some quick example that I could think of because I was looking at this too. I think I got in like one or two trades we did back maybe like 2R, 3R, but it was supposed to be even higher. I think for that week itself, I was like missing out for like 20 hours or something like that. So but yeah, that's the idea about it. So again, go back to this note here. So what we want to do here to increase your profitability is to maximize the win. When you have a confirmation on the setup, go in stronger. You can by all means move the stop loss for the first position and then add in the second position. That's what I usually do. And then or even risk a little more or risk a little less for those less probability setup, risk a little more for those more confident setups, like your so-called A setups. And for the losses wise, when it comes to being patient, wait for those A setups. It doesn't mean that you have to trade every single day, every single session, or even every single week. There has been some weeks that you can actually sit out and wait for the moment to come in and respect your stop loss. That's what I would suggest you to do. If you can have all these checklists check off the box during the trade, or remind yourself what to do and what not to do, I think you'll be profitable one day or very soon. Um, so focus on the RR, cut loss when needed, going bigger when it's confirmed. These are some points that I would actually suggest you to do. So just talk a little bit more on narratives that I have. I just want to go through Bitcoin, DXY, and maybe as the indices if I can. So what I have here is the DXY on a daily chart. We marked this out when it was here. We marked out that the price wanted to go a little bit lower to the sell side. So right now it tagged the low, break up again. So for short positions, I think the target has been target has been met. Um, long wise, I don't think this is something clear yet to me. Even though there is a fair value gap being created, it might go a little bit higher, but I want to wait for it to show hands. So there are a lot of buy side liquidity to be taken out eventually, all this. But let's see. My guess is that if price were to change bullish in terms of the XY, eventually all this will be taken out. Just because that low, this high created this low, but it did not close and displace further down. So the opposing liquidity will be the next target. That's what I would think of. Um, and in terms of crypto wise, crypto has been a little bit boring, I would say. We tagged the buy side, but in terms of weekly, I don't think this is a very nice chart to look at this moment. Monthly, no fair value. We have some at the bottom here, but whether or not the price will come back down so deep, I don't know. We just have to wait until it shows hand. But on a weekly wise, we are expecting this bearish fair value, although we have created one almost 4 hours more to close this weekly candle, but um, I'm not leaning super bullish on this yet, at least on a weekly chart. Um, if the previous few days would have been close even higher, creating a new fair value, I think it might go higher. But right now, no, I'm not really bullish into this. Ethereum, same thing. I long this maybe on the Thursday or Friday, but I don't think this is looking good yet. I closed this. I cut loss maybe about 0.5 R, but it is what it is. Um, so I think this is forming a lot of sell side liquidity. One, two, three. So there's no manipulation yet. So I think price might come back out, coming down again to take out all this liquidity before any move, but this is not a pretty chart. I swear, this is not something that you want to long. So same thing, a lot of liquidity here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these are forming some trend line, but I wouldn't look at this at all. I wouldn't look at long, at least for now. Something that I am in is, it was near. Why did I take this? So we have a 3 months fair value that we are respecting so far. We didn't close down towards it. Do we have to long to this target? No, we don't have to, because it really depends on what kind of setup to take. On a monthly chart, this is not pretty as well, but we have a weekly that's looking more or less not bad, I would say. Um, so we have a weekly fair value that was respected. If you can see this fair value here, this point and this candle closure, it did not close below it. And in fact, we had another second weekly candle that was that manipulated the sell side and then closed green. So if we zoom in, you can see that there's this whole push down here, which I use this as an order block for entry. It just went through and got us fill at 0.575, and then it moved. So when it moved, we're gonna see like a strong move up, like what we are seeing right now. So if we can have this weekly close body candle closure close above this high, I think right now we are protected, and then we should go higher. We have moved our stop loss to this higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high. So this is near our break even. I think we are protected in a way. We have taken taken partial at this PP1. So price should continue higher. We have a fair value gap created. Price may still come into this area and then move up. So I'm holding this. Um, I'm holding this. So at a very minimum, I would say price would still come into this. Why? Same same kind of logic, because this high did not create a very strong move downwards. Instead, it's just manipulation on this sell side. And if it doesn't take out the low with displacement, this target will be the next draw of liquidity. So I would think that all this will be the equal high, all this point here, all this buy side liquidity. So for my target point, this is my TP2, which is the final TP. Whether they go higher, I don't know. So we'll leave that for now. 3.8 R for the overall. I'll take it. So this is the some of the examples that I would just put into this recording. For anyone who's interested, let me know what your questions you have. I think if you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, I will try to answer as best as I can. All right, I'll just make it quick for today. Thanks for listening.